Number 10. Basil Brown. Basil Brown took the Bugs Bunny diet a bit too serious back in 1974 by consuming a staggering amount of carrot juice. 10 gallons of the stuff in 10 days. He exposed himself to 10,000 times the recommended amount of vitamin A and gave himself fatal liver damage. What's up, Doc? Fatal liver damage? Yeah, that's what's up. Number 9. Gareth Jones. The live TV broadcast of ITV's armchair theatre production of Underground saw actor Gareth Jones take method acting a step too far on the 30th of November 1958. Jones suffered a massive heart attack between two of his scenes, and while dispute has been caused about whether he died on camera or off, what is known is that the cast were forced to improvise and still had to finish the play with a cast member dead. What's especially spooky is that the Jones character was going to suffer a heart attack later in the play anyways. Quite odd. Number 8. Sir Arthur Aston. Sir Arthur Aston, noted soldier and Charles I supporter, fell off his horse in September 1644, which rendered him having to use a wooden leg. When Oliver Cromwell ordered the execution of everyone in Aston's town during the 1649 siege of Drogheda, Aston offered peaceful surrender, but his captors believed he had gold stashed in his wooden leg and thought the best way to open it up was to break it off and beat him with it. Unfortunately, it being a solid chunk of wood, Aston died in the beating. Number 7. Julien Offray de la Mettrie. Julien Offray de la Mettrie, French doctor, philosopher, and quite possibly the founder of cognitive science. Believing that sensual pleasure was the only reason to live, he declared his life to that same principle, and eating, sex, and enjoyment became his watchwords. However, his intelligence was to be masked by the history books thanks to his rather foolish death as a result of gorging on truffles at a feast held in his own honor. Number 6. Ilda Vitor Maciel. Ilda Vitor Maciel died in a hospital in Rio de Janeiro on September 28th at the grand age of 88. Though far from natural causes, her family claimed that her death was caused by a fatal nurse's error, injecting soup into her veins, rather than her feeding tube. Dying a mere 12 hours after the injection, Maciel's family have understandably gone on to file a lawsuit, and while the hospital acknowledges that the incident occurred, they deny that it was the cause of her death. Apparently soup is a satisfactory substitute for blood these days. Number 5. Hans Steininger. While the fashion for beards is certainly strong these days, it is hardly anything new. Hans Steininger was cultivating beautiful facial fur way back in 1567 and was highly publicly regarded for it. However, it was to prove his undoing when a fire raged through his town. Forgetting to tuck his beard away safely in his breast pocket, as he was used to doing when traveling, he stepped on it and tumbled down a flight of stairs, breaking his neck in the process. Razor rash somehow doesn't seem quite so bad anymore. Number 4. Clement Vallindigham. Clement Vallindigham took demonstration a little further than most when defending his client of a shooting back in 1871. Trying to show the jury how the man in question had managed to in fact shoot himself, Clement took hand of a loaded gun and proceeded to reenact the scene, believing it to be unloaded. The gun lodged in his clothing and discharged right into his stomach at point-blank range. He died the next day, but it wasn't in vain, as it had certainly proved his point, and his defendant was released soon after. Number 3. Gary Hoy. In order to prove to a group of students that the glass on the 24th floor of the Toronto Dominion Centre was unbreakable, Gary Hoy threw himself at it, a stunt he had apparently performed many times before, but this time he fell straight through to his death right afterwards. Though it would have been little consolation to him, a later report claimed that the glass did indeed not break, but merely pop right out of its frame. Number 2. John Bowen. It's December 9th, 1979, and the NFL halftime show between the New York Jets and the New England Patriots is underway. Consisting of a model aeroplane group putting on a display of their model planes flying around, the finale consisted of a 40-pound plane made up to look like a flying lawnmower. Unfortunately, the pilot lost control and the device went sailing straight into the crowd, right into audience member John Bowen, who died of his injuries 6 days later. Though it's not sure what is more embarrassing, being killed by a flying lawnmower, or thinking that model planes being flown would make for an entertaining halftime show. Number 1. Joao Maria de Souza. Joao Maria de Souza and his wife, Lenny, had the shock of their lives in 2013 when a 3-ton cow came crashing through the roof. The bovine intruder had apparently escaped from a nearby farm and worked its way onto the roof thanks to it being so close to a steep hillside. The roof, having not gone through rigorous cow testing, rather understandably caved in and sent the creature hurling down onto the man and his wife. Though his wife, Lenny, and the cow were fine, Joao suffered a fractured leg and likely severe internal bleeding, which is what was thought to cause his death in the hospital several hours later. But then again, we never know. He could have had soup injected into his veins.